So I says, damn, let me go to Detroit, Michigan, where they have the Ford Motor Company.
Yeah.
So I went out there. They had a great big line. I'm standing in the line. The guy came to me and says, wait a minute, ain't you that wrestler? I says, yes. He said, I said, what are you doing out here? I said, well, they barred me from the ring for life because I done something, blah, 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 blah.
Sure.
So I was lying again. So anyways, he said, I seen you tear a telephone book. If you tear that telephone book in front of all my foremans, I'll give you a job, right? I said, okay. They took me, got the guys, and they came around, and they handed me the telephone book, and I started breathing and all that shit, and tore it. The guy said, you got the job. Now you got to pass the test. They took me down there real fast. Everything was taken care of for me anyways. Everything, boom, 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 boom. I passed the test. I stayed there for a year, about a year. And I worked 7 days a week because a lot of overtime and stuff like that. And I used to take the blocks. I was throwing the block, boom, boom. And the forms came down. Look at this guy, the way he's doing the blocks. You know what I mean? I'd be grabbing them like this, putting my finger in the thing, throw them, right? Then they says, let's make him like a committee man. You know what I mean? Where I, relieve the guys, right? I done that. I didn't take no shit from nobody. You know what I mean? Because I was there. Then after that, the guy says, George Cannon. Have you ever heard of Crybaby Cannon? He said to me, Abdullah, they're looking for a man in Vancouver. You know what I mean? With a gimmick, you. And I told Rod Fenton about you. He says, you can make some big money there. I says, okay, but I'm happy here.
Yeah.
I'm happy. He said, no, you go out there. Anyways, I said, okay. So I went to the foreman. I said, sir, they finally let me, come back to the wrestling business. I'm going to thank you very much for what you've done for me, and stuff like that. I'm going to quit. He said, no, don't quit. He said, take a leave 6 months. Then if you want to take another 6 months, then if everything works out, you come back, right? If they come back. Anyway, I said, okay. Anyways, I get up there, I do the thing. We drive. But when we get ready to drive, he tells me, Abdullah, my car's broke down, right? My car's broke down, but can you drive? It's not, I already told the guy 6 months off, okay? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't drive that far, but he can drive. Go to Vancouver, go to Seattle. We stop off in Seattle. We got a show there. So I get there, and the promoter walks up to me and says, Abdullah, no, excuse me, I'm going to back up a minute. At that time, my name was Zealous Amara, the great Zealous Amara, when I first started. He says, Abdullah, Zealous Amara, would you let this guy beat you? And I went, damn, 3,000 miles, and they're going to ask for the guy to, beat me? So anyways, I says, no problem, sir. I go in the ring, do my stuff, and all of a sudden I'm stabbing the guy, right? And the people are going to riot, and they're just going crazy, throwing stuff and stuff like that, right? So I get up there, and I see the guy, his name was Harry Elliott, the promoter of Seattle.
Harry Elliott, yeah.
Yeah, do you remember him?
Yeah.
He come running down. Tell Abdullah to beat him. Tell Abdullah to beat him. Tell him to beat him. Tell him to beat him. Right? The referee came to me and says, beat him. Beat him. I said, no. He supposed to beat me. No. He says, beat him. The boss says, beat him. Right? What's your finish? So my finish is the elbow. So I jumped up, done my little karate. The guy, bam, the guy went down and hit the rope real fast. Dropped the elbow, jumped up real fast again, dropped another one. The referee went 1, 2, 3, and I jumped up. At that time, I wasn't talking. I don't talk.
Yeah.
I went me, beat, right? Okay. From there, I go to Vancouver. So Rod Fenton, he calls me in. He says, my partner called me and told me you stole the show, right? I said, well, sir, blah, 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 blah. He says, we got to find you a manager. I said, no, 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 no. George Cannon told me that he's going to be my manager, he's going to be this. He says, that fat, big such and such, I didn't even know you were coming out here until he called me up and said, I got this black guy, he's a job man, you know, can you give him a little bit of work for a couple of weeks?
Yeah.
I said, no, sir, he didn't say that. George Cannon was outside. George Cannon came and he said, tell him. I didn't know he was coming here. And when he said, well, you know, he said, you're a liar. I said, okay, sir, do what you have to do. I stayed in Vancouver for 2.5 years, made nothing but money. That's how I really got my big break. Then I went to Calgary, Alberta. I went all over.
Now, the Zila Samara name, where did that come from?
The great Zila Samara was from, give it to me, his name was Jack Britton, right? He was the promoter with Bert Ruby.
Yeah.
So I had no name. So when we go back to my restaurant, I have a picture when I used to wear the little tassel up here with the little thing hanging down. And I had a striped robe on. Like it looked like I was selling ice cream or, you know, they're going to put me on a Christmas tree or something.
Sure.
Yeah. And that's how I got the name. Then when I went to Vancouver, and Rod Fenton says, that name is no good. My partner says, you wrestle like a butcher. So we're going to call you Butcher. But we got to find another name. And at that time in Vancouver, there was a lot of Indians. He says, we'll call him Abdullah the Butcher. That's how I got it.
Rest is history.
Yeah.
Now, when you were working in Cobo and you were in Detroit, when did you first meet the Sheik?
Well, I was working for Bert Ruby. Bert Ruby and Jack Britton was separate.
Yeah.
Right? Anyways, the Sheik, I went to Cobo Hall. The Sheik didn't know me. None of them knew me. And I was standing where all the wrestlers were at in the hallway watching the wrestling matches, right? And I seen the Sheik go, told Bobo Brazil, who's that guy? Who is he? And Bobo Brazil walked over to me. He says, where you working? I said, Yakashita Mamatokolo, Makala. You know, like more or less, get the hell away from me, will you? And Bobo went, when I get here? And he went back to the Sheik and he says, the guy don't talk. You know what I mean? So I walk over. So the Sheik goes like this here. Calls me over. He says, where you from? I said, my name's Abdullah. No, I says, my name is Larry Shreve.
Yeah.
Right? And my name is the Great Zila Samara. Right? He said, I'd like to talk to you. That's how I met him.
Now, when did you first start doing the, I don't like to say the hardcore style, but because obviously the Sheik was doing the violence and the insanity and such.
Sir, please. The Sheik done his little gimmicks, right? I started with the forks.
Yeah.
I started breaking the beer bottles. I started with taking the nails, right?
Yeah.
The hardcore is when I used to take my head, when I first started, and beat my head up against the post, right? Like in those days, they used to have bolts in the thing. I'd hit my head like that against the thing, and I'd start bleeding, right? I'm the one who started hardcore. The Sheik could go up there and do his little routine with his little thing, stuff like that. But I'm the one who started with the forks and this and the bottles, eating glass. I'm the one who done it, right? Then I started getting more powerful than the Sheik. Then that's when the Sheik talked to Bert Ruby, and that's when they brought me over there to work for him. And that's when I started making no money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was in Cobo Hall with Chief Whitehall, and he said to me, kid, he says, we're going to tear this place down. When the time's right, stab me. You know what I mean? But the Sheik didn't know I was going to use my gimmick. I stabbed him. The people went crazy. The Chief was bleeding like crazy. And I'm stabbing him. And the people started throwing stuff. Boom, 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 right? So it got out of hand where it was a DQ. You know what I mean? They DQ'd me.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen Coble Hall no more because I stole the show.
Yeah.
Right? And then I went back to the dressing room. Then the Sheik says, you're going to Akron, Ohio, Dayton, Ohio, this and that, and all the little small places where there's nobody in there.
Sure.
So when I went there, right, I was in control. The first week, the house was so-so.
Mm-hmm.
Second week, everything came up. Everything came up. Then I wrestled Johnny Powers. Remember Johnny Powers?
Yeah.
Right? I wrestled Johnny Powers. We were selling out, blah, blah, like that. Then the Sheik decided to come back to his. The Sheik owned the whole territory. He owned everything. Did you know that?
Yeah.
He owned everything. So they took me off the card, and they had Red Lions, Billy Red Lions. I had my group, Johnny Power, all of them. We do whatever. Everybody worked together. They took us out. They bought Bobo Brazil and the Sheik in, and his card, Bull Curry and all, and the house went like this. Then so the promoter said, "Holy shit, look at this." Then that's when I knew what I really had.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? And then when the Sheik, when he had to go to the hospital, he's the one who said, "Abdullah, I want you to take my title."
Yeah.
Until I get out, and stuff like that. And then when I found out what I was getting, I was wrestling Bobo Brazil. Right? I'm wrestling him, boom, boom, boom. Bobo's doing his thing. He's giving me the headbutt. Bam, bam, bam. So I said, "Do it again." He hit me. Bam, bam. I went down, right? And he covered me. The referee went 1, 2, and I'm still down. And I remember, 1, 2, and I hooked Bobo Brazil and I grab him like this here and I hug him and the referee goes 1, 2, 3, right? So that meant that Bobo got the belt.
Yeah.
Right? Bobo jumped up, "You dirty, no good son." He took the belt. He, went to hand to me. "Oh no, I don't want that damn belt," right? Because he knew what he had to go all around with it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Then that's what happened. But me and the Sheik was partners all over, from Puerto Rico. Then I got him booked in Japan with me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he went to Japan before, but he was booked with me, right, for Giant Baba,
Mm-hmm.
right, because he used to work for Inoki, and that's where it happened.
The fork, like of all the things that you could use, what was it about the fork? Like when did you first decide this is what I'm going to use and make famous?
You know, the fork, it's amazing. When I was hungry, we had a spoon. When I finally got the fork, I said, "This is it. Now
Yeah.
I'm eating a steak with a fork." All right? Oh. But then one day I was wrestling in the ring, and somebody threw a fork. That's when I started using the fork.
You just use it ever since.
Yes, sir. Yep.
We had a lot of people asking about.
And then I sell the fork.
You sell the fork.
I sell the forks. Yeah. And this is the man here who's started wrapping up my forks for me, and then I'd sign them. Yes.
There you go.
But we're not going to tell you what we sold them for.
No.
Go ahead.
I'm from Seattle, and
Yeah.
we're asking around for questions leading up to this, and a lot of people asking about your time in Seattle and Portland and Vancouver, doing that whole loop, Don Owen and
That's right.
and Harry Elliott, and what are some of your memories of that area?
Seattle, Washington, it was. I love Seattle, Washington. Vancouver, I loved Vancouver. Portland, Oregon, I only went in there once every so often.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I used to go in and come right back out. You see what I mean? But Seattle, I loved the town. It was a great city. I loved it.
Yeah.
Vancouver, I loved it. And everybody seemed, I don't know about today if they're killing each other or whatever, but back
Not
then.
a lot of killing.
But back then it was good.
Now, when you were talking about Calgary and you broke in Wayne Coleman, otherwise known as the Superstar.
Superstar Billy Graham.
That's right.
He came into Calgary, Alberta, driving a I think it was a 60.